Hi Titans, and welcome to another edition of In Focus, where Titan TV sits down with one of our very own CSUF professors to dive deep into current events. Now, food insecurity is a major problem for many Americans, and the pandemic has not helped the situation. We have even seen it right here on campus among our very own CSUF students. Dr. Tabashir Nobari, CSUF Assistant Professor in the Department of Public Health, is here to shed some light on this. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Nobari.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about such an important issue.
Yes, of course. And would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I joined Cal State Fullerton 3 years ago, and I teach both undergraduate and graduate level public health classes. And my research is based on socioeconomic and racial ethnic health inequities, primarily looking at the socioeconomic conditions that affect young children and also college students. And I look at obesity, food insecurity, and housing insecurity.
Wonderful. And how did you start your organization?
So when I joined Cal State Fullerton 3 years ago, a colleague in the Department of Public Health, Dr. Mo Sammy, and I, we started the Health Equity for All Lab, given the importance that health equity has. And we really wanted to understand the conditions, that both the social and structural determinants that affect communities.
I see. And what are some ways that our students here at Cal State Fullerton can get more involved in, say, your organization?
We do have student opportunities. We've got a number of research projects. Some of them are focused on basic needs, so food insecurity and housing insecurity, both among Cal State Fullerton students and also among low-income families. And we've both worked, Dr. Sammy and I have both worked with undergraduate and graduate students, so students can email us directly if they're interested in getting more involved.
And how would you go about students, say, if they're a little too timid to reach out for help? How do you normally help them come into the light?
If they're food insecure, if they're kind of struggling. So it can definitely be daunting to go and ask about the resources and find out more about the resources. But Cal State Fullerton has a number of great programs. We've got Tuffy's Basic Needs on campus. And if a student is a little too timid to speak to someone directly in person, you can go online to their page and you can fill out a self-referral form and you can request food assistance. They also have housing assistance, so if you need emergency housing, they provide that as well. They also provide hygiene products and, if you're going for a job interview. So you can definitely go online and request their assistance. And then also we have ASI Food Pantry. And that was open last year. And what you can do is you can register for an account online. You don't have to go anywhere in person. You set up an appointment and then you can go there. And it's kind of like going to a grocery store. You've got your basket and you can fill it up with food. So it's a really great place if students are food insecure and needing a little bit of help.
Wonderful. That sounds like a really great opportunity. Do you happen to know if there's any eligibility requirements to access any of these resources?
So the food pantry, there is not. Any student can access those resources, definitely.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did want to mention, because I know the pandemic is such a big thing that took a toll on all of us. So how would you compare, the numbers from now and prior to the pandemic?
So a few colleagues in the Department of Public Health and I, so Dr. Kolela, Dr. Sammy, Dr. Pim, we wanted to find out more about the impact of the pandemic on students' basic needs. It was right when the pandemic had started, people were becoming unemployed, they were losing their jobs, they were losing income. And if you recall, we were seeing these long lines at the food drives. And so each of us, we were hearing from our own students that they were experiencing some difficulty. So we decided to survey students, Cal State Fullerton students, on the impact the pandemic was having on their basic needs. And we found that a few months into the pandemic, so we surveyed them in June, and the pandemic, if you remember, started in March, 31% reported that they were food insecure. So They were having difficulty accessing healthy, nutritious food that it's needed for them to live a full, active, healthy life. And some of those students were cutting what they were eating. They weren't eating as much as they needed to. So we found that the rates of food insecurity had doubled since before the pandemic. We also found that the rates of students who were very low food secure, so they're cutting their meals, those also doubled. So 16% of students weren't getting enough to eat.
I see. And I know it's, like I said, it was very difficult for everyone, especially coming through that pandemic phase. But I would say what's really important is to try to steer into the right direction to be able to help the situation. So is there anything that you would recommend for our community to kind of step in this direction of being with less cases of food insecurity?
I think we need to think about both short-term solutions and longer-term solutions. So short-term solutions for any student who is experiencing food insecurity, and that doesn't just have to be like a hunger pains. You know, if they're worried that they're not going to be able to access food. We've got these great resources on campus, and the university has done a phenomenal job. So both Tuffy's Basic Needs Center is there for students, and they'll provide food assistance. We also have the ASI Food Pantry. There's also a resource in the community. So all throughout California, you can dial 211 and they'll let you know about community food pantries. We also have a community garden that's going to be starting later in April. So we have a lot of these great resources on campus for students. But we also need to think about the structural determinants, as we talk about in public health, the factors that are causing that we have so many food insecure students. So we need to address tuition, and we need to think about how can we make it more affordable for students. Also in California, we've got high housing costs, and a lot of people's income goes towards housing. We hear about students and low-income families, they're spending 50, 60, 70% of their income on housing. So very little is left over afterwards that people can spend on food. And so we need to think about both of these issues. Another program that's really helpful is CalFresh. Food assistance program, formerly known as food stamps. We also call it SNAP. And we need to think about making sure that all students are eligible for CalFresh. And they've become a little bit more flexible on the work requirements because of the pandemic. And so now kind of raising awareness about that for students.
I really enjoy that. I know that CalFresh is a really good program as well.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Is there anything else you'd like to add as far as your research, or if you had any advice for our viewers that are watching right now?
So I think we need to continuously research this subject. We need to understand the issue. How many students are food insecure? Why are students food insecure? And we also saw disparities in that. So groups who are typically more vulnerable were more likely to experience food insecurity. Students who were parents and they were taking care of young kids, students who were Black, African American, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, these students reported more food insecurity. So we need to understand this. We need to continue to do the research. We need to continually raise awareness of the resources students have on campus. The resources are there for them, and we want to make sure that students are accessing it. Really, this is a time for students to focus on their studies, and they shouldn't be worried about getting enough to eat. And then, because this is such an important topic, Eta Sigma Gamma, the Public Health Honor Society on campus, has a public health symposium, April 8th. And the first one is on food insecurity. And so kind of understanding what food insecurity is, how it affects people's health and their educational attainment, whether they graduate college. We'll be hearing from a lot of great speakers. So Deepa Shah from LA County Department of Public Health will be there. Claudia Keller, who graduated Cal State Fullerton and is now a CEO of Second Harvest Food Bank of Orange County, will be there to talk. We've got Dr. Duran from Cal State Northridge, Victoria Ajemian from the Basic Needs Center will be talking. And it's really to understand how food insecurity affects college students, how it affects young children who are very vulnerable. What are the programs that have been implemented during the pandemic to address this? And because it's such an important issue, Eta Sigma Gamma has made the event free to the whole community. So people can go online, they can register. It's virtual, so you don't have to go anywhere. And it'll be from 9:30 to 2. And we've also got a student poster session because students are really doing a lot of important work. And so we wanted to highlight that.
Oh, wonderful. I can't wait. I am going to be doing that as well.
Wonderful.
Yes, I would like to see that.
Okay.
And it's so convenient now that it's all virtual.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
But wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Tabashir Nobari, for joining us here on In Focus.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Well, Titans, thank you so much for sitting in on this enlightening conversation with Dr. Nobari. We want to thank her for her service to our community. Attend the Food Insecurity Symposium on Friday, April 8th at the link below. It's free, virtual, and open to the public. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Castaneda, and this has been In Focus.